First level that we're going to be facing is when the opponent has standing posture. You guys will notice that once you guys have this skill, you guys have the technique, a lot of things can happen. The opponent can drop one knee on the mat or can jump both knees on the mats as well. So it happens all the time. I have faced that in high level competitions, but the setups, they rely the same. So we have a bunch of different follow-ups for each grip that we are making. So it's going to be extremely fine. And the first move that we gotta learn in order to have a very strong game from this standing posture, where the opponent had either high posture or low posture, is MEREGALI sweep. So I don't know if there's any other name to call this sweep, but it's pretty much that. Once we have shallow lasso, pretty much shallow lasso is easier than deep lasso to make this transition to under the hips, but shallow lasso to under the hips, and then we hook up people over, and it's extremely effective. I have done a bunch of times, and you guys will see every little detail that I have over this technique. So we have the opponent playing over there. As I mentioned before, I think you switch sides, do you mind? As I mentioned before, playing either shallow lasso or deep lasso with collar control is a better setup. So I would spend more time building up into this type of grip, but you guys can have different setups as well in order to reach your sweep, right? So remember, what we are looking for here is to control my opponent's head. If he has high posture, it's probably going to be hard for you guys hit any type of sweep. The lower his head is, the more unstable he is, the more off balance he is, because his head's aligned to his hips and probably his head is ahead of his feet. That is what we are looking for. That's why we work with low posture, sorry, more than high posture. And lasso hook sweep is when we slide either the shallow lasso or deep lasso into this type of setup where we are catching the opponent's far butt cheeks, not in the middle. I'm going to explain why. And then from this position, we start bringing him over our hips, and then we send him towards that direction. So you guys know which sweep I'm talking about. It's pretty simple. We just flare the entire body. We bring him over. I'm going to show you. We bring him over, and we send him there. And from here, we start climbing up to stabilize that sweep. So you guys will see that everything, pretty much every sweep that we're going to be looking about lasso is when we are able to manage the opponent's, bring the posture down, manage the opponent's posture down. We have connection, and my job in here is create any type of hook in between the legs, outside the lahiva, reverse lahiva, and we're going to try to bring his body ahead. So if he is aligned to his hips like that, he's still is strong, okay? So head ahead of the hips, it's not that ideal, but if his feet are playing on the mats, it's probably pretty stable for him. Once we start using any type of lasso hook sweep, I want to bring him forward, making him transfer his body weight from the entire foot, as you guys can see here, forward like here. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to move his head ahead to make him lose his balance, right? So most of the sweeps you're gonna learn at this segment, they're gonna be based on how we move the opponent's head around. Once we get in there, we have collar, we have shallow lasso. I start hooking. My job in here is gonna be hook the far butt cheeks. Why I hook the far butt cheeks? Because if I hook the far butt cheeks, it allows me to build a little bit of angle here. I'm not square completely. Once I hook, I need to step on the mats, and then I need to move my head towards the side. So the more I move my head towards the side I have the lasso, the more pressure I'm gonna have in my grip, the easier it's gonna be to maintain his posture low, and the more tension I'm gonna generate. So the hook stays there on the far butt cheeks, and I lean my head towards the side. So now you guys can see that I'm pretty much under his hips, and I have the collar control. So if I have the collar control, it's not gonna be hard to start flaring my elbow and moving his head to above mine. If you guys play with your knee, with your hook in between the hips like here, and you guys try to angle, it's not going to be that comfortable. You guys need a little bit of room, so that's why I hook this butt cheeks, the far one. So once I step and I move to the side, my job is going to be once we get in this position, flare my elbow and bring him to over my knee like this. So he's above my hip, but my knee is connected to his chest. You can turn a little bit. Just on this side, over here, yeah. So grips, I build my angle. So now I use my elbow to finish off the balance and force him to drop his entire body weight on my knee. So he's going to be above my hip and his body weight is going to be over my hip, my knee. So I flare my elbow. Now as he's flying here, it's not going to be hard for me to extend my leg towards the side and then send him to the side. So to pop up, I should bend my leg, pinching his elbow, and then once I fight to heist, he's also going to heist. It's like he's going to try like turn his belly towards me to get up. So I need to build an underhook. This is the only grip that allows me to stay on top, right? So if he tries turtle right now, so I have my grip, it's pretty easy to start building height. My head's pretty high compared to his head. I'm going to be able to pin him and be effective on top, scoring points and maintaining top position. So we have shallow lasso or either deep lasso. First thing you gotta learn is just how to hook. I hook all the way there, the far butt cheeks. I step on the mats or I use pendulum to send me to the side. The more diagonal I am like this, the easier it's gonna be to start building a solid angle and a better elevation in this situation. So my hand is working pretty close to my leg, my elbow is on my body. I start flattening my elbow and then you guys can see that I'm moving his body position. So he's still heavy here, but the more his head comes forward, the more pressure I'm gonna feel my knee because, my joint is holding his body weight. So I'm carrying his body weight with my knee is coming against my chest. You guys can see here, flaring elbow, knee against the chest. I can send him there, I bend my leg, and I use momentum to get up and build my underhook. If I just have this arm inside, he's not gonna be able to turn belly down, he needs to accept bottom position. I just knee cut over his belly and I'm going to be okay. So a few problems that we can face here. So there's a few ones actually. So first thing, once we are building angle. So if I'm super flat and I try fight to hook his far butt cheeks, as I'm flat and I'm trying to get in there, it's pretty easy for Ethan to start pinning his shoulder down and smashing past there. Yeah. And then we're gonna see situations where I cannot elevate him anymore, I'm stuck, I need to find space to bring my knee back and then play deep lasso or shallow lasso again. So my job while I'm sliding my hook inside is always, and I always divide that to teach, otherwise you guys will get a little confused. My job is always to start hooking once my body is already pointing towards this direction. If I'm flat, it's 0-0. He's probably going to be able to grab me there. Yeah. So if while I'm hooking, I'm either step on the hip or step on the shoulder and I'm hooking already, turning my body diagonal like here, while he's trying to beat my knee, I'm already stepping out. And then I'm probably going to win the battle about knee position. So it's not hard for me, just we're adjusting a little more and then we're going to be in a good spot here to start my elevation. Remember, knee against the chest, elbow flare, and you're going to be able to send the person there. So this is a very important detail once you guys are fighting to get your hook behind the butt cheeks. So you guys should not pointing me out, not extremely flat. You guys should be able to hook and readjust. Like your hip is doing the work, like this. So I'm already diagonal, I'm leaning my head towards the side, I'm going to be in a good spot to step on the mats to feel safer and then readjust myself, right? So another thing that can happen is if he just flies right away, he's not basing his hand very well, we don't need to change anything. But a lot of people, they feel scared once they're in this position and this hand comes to the chest, they grab the collar or something and they push away. Yeah, so if I'm here, no matter how much angle I build and I try to bring my knee against my chest, there's a full elbow extension here. I'm not going to go anywhere. Do you mind turning a little bit? So I'm not going to be able to bring him to above my hips, right? This arm is extremely solid and full extension. So what should I do? Instead of fight the collar, as I cannot move his upper body anymore, his head position is still in the same spot no matter how good I do my job over here, I need to start fighting his elbow. So I'm going to come with 4 fingers and I'm gonna grab inside his elbow. Literally, I'm gonna pinch elbow with my thumb and middle finger like here. They might have turn you a little bit like here. And then my job is gonna be create a reaction where I can flare my elbow outside. You can keep your arm strong and extended, yeah. So I'm gonna flare my elbow and I'm gonna use the angle I can build from bottom to break his base. Once I break his base, I'm gonna keep bringing things in, and the more I bring things in, the easier it's gonna be to open his upper body and then make him lose his base. Because the arm in this case is the base, I swing inside and I finish my sweep. But the arm, this arm that he has on my body, is what is not allowing me to finish my sweep. So I need to control the elbow and flare things out. Once I'm pointing his elbow out, I'm able to manage the head again. So this is a very common thing that happens when we are playing deep lasso. When we're playing lasso hook sweep. So we have this situation. So he pulls on my body and I feel here I cannot finish my elevation, like he's pretty heavy. So what do? I just grab his elbow like here. I pinch thumb and middle finger out around the elbow. So I'm bringing my hand out behind, and then now I start flaring. You can keep your elbow strong, it's fine. I just flare things like this. So the more I flare, the more I build angle, the easier it's gonna be to start bringing him over me like this. It's pretty uncomfortable for your partner to stay on top. So I flare, I bring him, and then we send him over there. We are able to just pop up and get top position. Of course, you guys are gonna struggle somehow. Maybe you don't miss. Of course, you're gonna struggle somehow to finish the sweep. It's gonna be a scrimmage situation, but if you guys focus on the underhook, if you guys focus on high step pretty fast and bring your head higher than your opponent, you guys mostly gonna win this exchange. And there's another thing that you guys also must be aware, which happens as well quite often from the standing, right? So we have as well reactions when the opponent drop one knee on the mats and two knees on the mats, but as we are approaching a different level, so as we divide in 3 levels to approach sweeps, it's not going to be part of this take, but there's another reaction that the opponent does, they might not getting up again, is when we have the lasso sweep, right? So we are approaching the body over there. You guys can do that approach straightforward like here. So we have the grip, we have the butt cheeks, and in positions like that, sometimes they pulse on the body, you can pulse on the body, and no matter what I do from here, they are so spread open, like the legs are so wide, and the base is so like heavy over here. No matter what I do, even if I'm able to manage his elbow out, I'm not able to bring his posture in. So what do? So from positions like this, it's not about angle anymore. It's not about getting underneath him with my head and bring my knee against my chest, like he's too heavy. It's all about pull my leg inside and start fighting his shin. We have 2 situations that can happen here. You guys can see his upper body is pretty strong. He's sprawling away, like legs are wide, like he's heavy. I cannot finish my elevation here. I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna go anywhere, like it's heavy. So once I use my shin, as you guys can see here, do you think you can see that? Like just a shin trap, shin to shin setup. Thank you. Shin to shin setup. And I have this type of connection, sleeve pretty tight and elbow control. 2 things can happen. 1, I can use this shin to shin setup I have to off balancing him by kicking his leg away in order to be able to move his head forward. It can happen sometimes, so I'm just gonna create a push and pull action to off balancing him and then send him there. So I pop up and I finish in the same way. Or the second option, which happens more against high level guys. So I see myself a lot in that position, so I build my angle, I want to finish, the arm comes, they sprawl, they're heavy, they're very athletic, no problem. I control the elbow, I try to finish in that setup, it also doesn't work, so I start fighting the shin to shin setup. So once we are here, if I try just off balance them by extending my leg, a lot of times it doesn't work, but what can I do as well? I can just slide my hook up, and as they are completely above my knee, I'm not going to be able to extend my leg towards there and finish my sweep. They're very athletic. They're probably going to hop out with the other leg. They're going to find a way of being stable there. But from positions like this, I can just extend my leg all the way up. The one that I had shin to shin, and I'm going to land straight into single X. Single X is pretty easy. You guys can see here, we have lasso set up in single X. I can just step on the mats. I'm gonna do a little bump, forcing him to replace his hand. If his hand is on my chest, it's gonna be kind of annoying. I need to have this hand on the mat, so I just step on the mat with the same leg. I slide all the way through to single X. I step and bump forward. Once he pulls on the mats, I'm mostly gonna make my transition into X guard, and we're gonna be in a very solid spot. So we have a few follow-ups here, as you guys can see. The details are the same. Once we hook the far by cheeks, we want to get underneath the body. So that is a critical moment. We need to get underneath in order to send them over. But we have options of managing the elbow if things doesn't work in the way we want, or if things is still not working well. Shin to shin, two options. One, making them slide one off the base out so you guys can finish off balance, or two, use this hook to slide up a little bit, just enough, so you guys can get underneath the hips in a very efficient way. So, and as I said, it happens all the time. Not all the time, but it happens a lot against high-level athletes because they're so athletic, like everybody moves so well and they know the sweep. So what I would like to do, off balance, so they base out, no problem, I fight the elbow. So I try, move away, they base out a little more. So now Ethan feels like 100 kilos, like 200 pounds, whatever, like it's pretty heavy here. So what I do, I just palm inside, which is pretty easy. So the closer they are to your leg, just tidy up everything here, the more they're gonna fly. So he needs to base out, he needs to open the door like here. So it's not a big deal for me, just palm inside. If I palm inside, I first off balance a little bit and bring them over, or two, if they're very heavy, very athletic, so no problem, I just start sliding my foot up. As you guys can see, it's close to the knee, so the more I flare, the more I'm gonna be able to extend my leg. So the lasso leg is still on the same spot, I'm still fighting the butt cheeks, but once we land in here, the same second, the leg comes down, I step on the mats, and I bump him forward. Now I have time to decide, do I wanna play single X, or do I wanna play traditional X guard? Both ones are pretty solid. You guys will feel a lot of freedom to decide as you guys are bumping forward. Your opponent's gonna base out, and then we have a very solid opportunity to make a transition to a safer guard, which, as you guys are underneath the hips, any sweep from there is gonna be pretty easy. So a lot of follow-ups in this specific technique. You guys notice that once we hook the far butt cheeks angle, once we are building our angle diagonally, we're gonna have more power and more tension on the lasso guard, so we're gonna be able to send the person over. Collar control allows you guys to manage better the upper body, so the head's gonna come forward. The more the head comes forward, the more connection to our knee the opponent has, so it's gonna be easier to send them over. And we have the follow-ups. So if you guys failed trying the traditional method, the step on the mats, which is the easiest one. If you guys fail doing this one because someone is basing out, stepping on the, posting on the chest, you guys fight the base. The base is not the legs anymore, the base is the arm. So this is what not allowing them to fly. So you guys open the elbow and get the sweep. And if everything is very spread open, someone is very athletic on top, you guys should start fighting the base that right now is the legs, not the arm anymore. The arm is of course one of the points of support, but if you guys fight the base, you guys have access the leg. You guys can either slide things out and get underneath, or you guys can use this the action of sliding your hook up and go straight to single X or X guard, whatever the decision you guys make during the way. Yeah, pretty effective. This is mostly the game I do against high-level athletes. Lasso hook sweep, and I'm pretty sure you guys got everything you guys need.